Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests waiting to be profiled are director Andrushka Waddington and author Faiza Gue'ne. Director Andrushka Waddington made the Portuguese language film House of Sand in Brazil. He wrote the script for his wife, actress Fernanda Torres, and her mother, Oscar-nominated Fernanda Montenegro. Ms. Montenegro is the mother-in-law of Mr. Waddington. You'll see a clip of the film first, and before our interview is played, which was at a press junket in one of the local hotels in Beverly Hills.
Perdão. É seu?
Onde é que a senhora encontrou isso?
Na areia, perto da minha casa.
Casa? Não vi casa nenhuma?
Não é. É porque eu moro há 2 dias a pé daqui.
A senhora andou 2 dias para devolver isso?
Foi.
Tell me. Hi, Andrushka.
Hi.
Your work started with all these award-winning commercials. Then you assisted the top directors in what city were you?
I'm based in Rio. I come from Rio. Actually, I started to work really early. I made a short film when I was 16. It was a terrible short. Even my mother didn't like it. And then I knew that I had to learn a lot. So I went to be a trainee with Carlos Diegues. Then I worked with Walter Salles, Hector Babenco.
So how did you get in with all those terrific directors?
I was asking around to work and to be a trainee for free. So my first film, I started as a trainee for production assistant trainee. Then during the shooting, I became trainee of the AD, assistant of director. And then the sound guy invited me to be his trainee on the sound editing. So I was stuck in this film for a whole year. And I learned the whole process. Then I quit my studies at the university. And then I started to study on set and at home, watching films, reading books. So.
Were there any filmmakers in your family? Were you following in the footsteps of anyone?
No, not filmmakers. Actually, my brother is a TV director, and I have another brother who works with commercials, but not filmmakers.
So you did start making these great commercials.
Yeah, I had to do it. Actually, it was by coincidence because the film industry was shut down in Brazil in '90 for 5 years, and I had no option. So I started to I became a first AD of Walter Salles in his commercials. I was producing documentaries for him, and I started to direct my music videos and commercials.
At the same time.
Yeah, and the industry was back on 95, so right away I started to write my feature project, which I shot in 98 I shot Twins, and 99 I shot Me, You, Them.
Me, You, and Them.
Me, You, Them.
Yeah. Well, you started, one of the things you said is you liked being a producer. You liked all those things that were involved in producing.
Yeah, actually in Brazil it's very hard to create a project without being involved as a producer, because it's hard to make a film over there. There is a project of an industry, but there is not an industry, a real industry. So if you are a producer, it helps a lot, because you fight with double of strength for your project.
I see. Well, did you have the same kind of duties being a director, like say the House of Sand, where your producer
yeah, actually,
things the same as the directing things?
Yeah, actually you have to manage. I have pleasure in doing both. Like you have to separate, like the production issues I was taking care after the wrap of the shooting, never during the shooting. So when I was in the shooting, I was only taking care of the actors and the script and how to position the camera. But after wrapping, I was going to the office for 4 hours to check all the production details. So my day was longer than the others.
So did you know how to do the economics of the production side?
Yeah, I had to.
Budgets?
I had to.
What was Me, You, and Them about? Because it won awards in festivals. It won an award at Cannes, which was great.
Me, You, Them, it's an original story based on a real fact of a woman who was married with 3 men under the same roof at the same time. Yeah, so it's a dramatic comedy that was released here in the US by Sony Classics as well. And it's a film that I'm very proud, and actually it's available in video.
That's great. But now you're talking about the House of Sand. And tell us about that story, because it seems like it was a collaboration of a lot of people's thoughts.
Yeah, I think all films are collaborations, but this one came from a photograph that Luis Carlos Barreto, the Brazilian producer, he saw in a wall of a bar northeast of Brazil. He saw this picture, he came to the strip, and we met by casualty, and he said, I would call you tomorrow because I just saw this picture in a wall of a bar of a house half covered by sand. I asked it to the owner of the bar who was living in that house, and he said it was a woman who was fighting against the sand for her whole life, and when she died, the sand took over her house. I was thinking about you for the last 24 hours, I would call you tomorrow, but as we met here, I should say that you must make a film about this story. This was in 2001. Next day, I had a dream during the night, mixing these images with Teshigahara's Woman in the Dunes images, which is a film that I've seen 2 weeks before.
Oh, I see.
So in the next day, after the dream, I called him and I said, let's make this movie. So I went to his house, started to work in the script, like in the idea, in the storyline. In the end of the day, we called Helena Soares, the screenwriter, to be part of the team and to create the original story with us. And I called right away Fernanda Montenegro and Fernanda Torres to tell about the story. Yeah, to tell the story to her, to them, and check if they have interest, because we wanted to write this film for them.
So they actually collaborated with Elena, and how long did it take Elena to write the screenwrite?
Actually, I'll tell you. First, we spent 1 year, Elena, Barreto, and myself, creating the original story. Then 1 year, Elena created the first draft of the script. Then 1 more year, we were working over the script that Elena delivered. And then 6 months before the shooting, Fernandes came on board as weekly readings, so just to set up, like, collaborating in a way of really specify the behavior and the personality of each character, because as they share characters, it should be really clear in the script which character is what. So this collaboration was very important to have in their minds totally different characters, as we were having the same actresses to play. Fernanda Montenegro plays 3 characters and Fernanda Torres 2, and they share these 2 that Fernanda Torres plays.
And they're actually mother and daughter.
They are actually mother and daughter in real life, and they never played main roles at the same movie. So it was a challenge for them actually to manage how to do this 3 characters for the film.
So Fernanda Montenegro is an Academy Award nominee, and she and her daughter have their names above the title, which is fabulous.
Yeah, actually, this film was written for them, and I think like actors, they are very important for the films.
Then you had to find this location where there was so much sand, and it was near the sea, I guess, and there was an island connected.
Yeah, it was near the sea. It's a huge desert of dunes, and actually, after 2 years working in the script, we went to find the location. So this was a very isolated place in the north of Brazil, in the state, in Maranhão state. So when we arrived there, I went there with Helena Soares and the DP because we were still working in the script. So we went to make a research about people in these conditions used to live. As soon as we arrived there, we watched that place and we knew that there should be where we should make the film.
But did you know all the hardships that were going to come up? You had transportation, housing, all of those things, and you were in the middle of the dunes.
Yeah, actually, this is the logistics for this film was really, really weird. We spent 1 year to prepare and to set this whole town which was not a town at all. It was a fisherman's village. So we spent like 1 year in logistics. It was a 1,900 people village. We brought a pizzeria to the town. We built 2 little hotels that the landowners of this lands that we built the hotels, they wanted to create this hotel. So instead of giving money, we said to them, okay, we build the hotel for you, we stay there for free, and in the end the hotel is yours. So it was a fair deal, and we also had a very hard time to put the crew over there because after getting in the airport in São Luís, which is 6 hours by car from the location, we drive in a paved road 3 hours, and then we get 4x4 vehicle wheels, traction vehicles to cross the flood area, which we had water in the windows. So we had tractors in the way to pull the cars, to put them over there. And as the crew was there, this was perfect because there was no cell phones. There was 1 public phone, so we set up a satellite dish with 20 computers in the office, and we had an internet cafe in this pizzeria where people from crew can communicate to their families.
Well, the panoramas were great. Your photographers had to shut down a little bit during the day, didn't they, the cinematographers, because of the heat?
Yeah, actually, the cinematography was a great person, a great piece in this film, and like we made a schedule that we were shooting from 5 in the morning to 10 in the morning, then we had a 3-hour break, and then from 1 to 6 to avoid the hard light and the really the extreme conditions.
Well, I'm happy that you made this beautiful, beautiful film, The House of Sand, and I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
And thank you for watching that part of the show. We're back, and I'm with Faiza Gue'ne, who was born and raised by Algerian immigrant parents in a small public housing project on the outskirts of Paris. She went to high school there, and you've been writing, Faiza, since you were a young girl.
Since I was 8.
Since you were 8?
Yes.
What were you writing?
I was just writing some fairy tales, sort of fairy tales for my friends when I was a little girl.
And what were they doing? Did they want to be in your stories?
Yes.
And you have a funny story. They paid you?
Yes, with candy.
So they did. So you've been writing for years.
Yes.
And how old are you now?
I'm 21.
You're 21, and we have from the UCLA French department, Dominic Thomas, who's going to help us today. Thank you for being here, Dominic.
It's a pleasure.
Did you read a lot? Were you reading at home, did you have a lot of books to read?
Not a lot because in the area I was living in, there was no a lot of book because book it's very expensive.
Ah.
And there was no library.
There wasn't?
No, so I didn't read a lot, but I was writing a lot.
You were writing?
It's less expensive to write.
But and what language were you writing, in French or Arabic?
In French.
All in French?
It's my school language.
Ah.
So it's more natural to write in French for me.
When you were also very young and in your high school, I guess they call it high school, you were making films. Did you make films in the neighborhood?
Yes. I'm sorry for my English.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
I was making film with some other youngs in association.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we make films about our neighborhood.
Oh, so was it with the school or was it on your own?
Not with
Not
school.
with the school.
With an association.
Oh, really?
A place where we could write some films.
Was it after school?
Yes.
It was after
Yes.
school. Oh, so you made the films. That's
Yes.
wonderful. What kind of camera were you using?
Video cameras.
They provided them for you? They gave you the videos?
Yes, yes.
You've been compared, because you're so young, to the great writer Faiza Gue'ne. Have you ever read her work?
Yes, the fact to compare Sagan and me, it's just about the age.
The age,
And,
probably, huh?
Yeah, and it's French journalists make sentences like that. So I've read Sagan, but it was so boring, so I never finished.
Why did you find it boring? Was it a different era for you or a different time?
I don't know, maybe because I was too young when I read it. I don't know.
When you started writing this book, Kif Kif Tomorrow, were you writing it while you were, is it a diary like Bridget Jones' diary?
Not at all, because it's nothing autobiographical.
Nothing autobiographical?
No, it's when I start write it, I knew that it was just fiction. It's for my own pleasure that I wrote. Sorry.
So, a lot of it seems a bit depressing. It feels depressing to me. Is that how you think the children in the public housing felt, the girls in the public housing?
It's not so depressing, because a lot of people imagine that it's very sad and boring and all, but
well, what does this mean? Kif kif tomorrow, demain. Kif kif demain.
Kif kif demain. It's kif. It's a verb of slang, means love, and kif kif. It means in Arabic same old, same old.
Yeah. So it's the same tomorrow.
Yes.
So that's what sounds depressing. Like there's no way to get out of it.
It's the two senses. Yes.
Yes.
One is that tomorrow is always the same thing, and the other is that you can love tomorrow too.
Oh, I see. Oh, I didn't get that at
Yes.
all. Oh, I understand. One of the things I thought was really interesting was in the beginning.
Yes.
You have these words. Read them to us, because they're
Yes.
are they Arabic words?
Not all, but bled is a French word now too.
Means
it's
what?
a village,
Mm-hmm.
a God-forsaken place,
Uh-huh.
the middle of nowhere,
Uh-huh.
a wasteland, a hole or dump,
Yeah.
countryside.
Uh-huh.
It's you can use it too. Bled, it's the place where you were born.
Oh, like a homeland, like a birthplace.
Exactly.
Oh, but and then you have a couple of other words in there.
Yes. Mektub is destiny.
Mektub, it's like what else?
The destiny.
Destiny.
Yes. You have kiffé, to be really crazy about something.
Oh, that's where you really like
Yes.
it. And then, is that the only other? Were those the
No,
only?
the Shuma, it's shame. But all these words are not used just by Arabic people. The French people use it fluently.
In their conversation,
Yes, yes.
yeah. Well, how was it for the daughter of an immigrant who was born in France, right? You were born in France, so you're French, really, to be growing up in a French ghetto?
It's not worse than anywhere.
It's,
Yes.
oh, is that right?
So just because of televisions, a lot of people imagine that it's horrible, but I love my life. I'm still living in this place.
Why are you still living there
Yes.
now? Well, we know it in America and around the world that those were where the riots were happening in the suburbs outside of Paris, where they're not happy. They're fighting the government.
The daily life is
Yeah.
sometimes difficult, but not so horrible.
No?
No, people cannot think that sometimes, like everywhere, we have love, we have some things.
It's like
normal.
everything. It's
Yes.
like a normal.
It's not a zoo.
Are you a Muslim?
It's very intimate question.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
So it's not. My books are not about Islam.
I see. No, I just wondered if that made a difference, living in the suburb or living in the big city. The religion.
About religion, no, because to me it's something very personal.
When you're out, like you were at several universities in Los Angeles, do you feel like other girls? Do you feel like you're just part of the group of 20-year-olds? Do you feel comfortable?
I think I'm normal, a normal girl.
One thing that I thought was great in the book was all the fashion. You talk so much about fashion. How do you know so much about that?
I think all girls are interested by fashion. Ghetto girls or Los Angeles girls, the same thing.
Did you read?
It's not the same prices, but
Did you read a lot about fashion?
no, not a lot.
Did you go shopping a lot? Did you go to Paris to shop and to look at fashions?
It's not a Paris fashion like you
Right.
as you think.
Mhm.
It's you have two fashion in Paris. One is very célèbre.
Celeb, yeah.
Famous.
Famous,
designer.
sorry, famous.
Uh-huh.
Very expensive too. And the other is not expensive, and we have our own fashion.
Street
We
fashion.
create our street fashion, yes.
Uh-huh. And that street fashion is what influences the famous designers. I think
Yes,
they go out
sure.
on the street, right?
Yes, it is.
And they see what you're wearing. I think the funniest thing is the family in the book is visited by a social worker.
Yes.
And that girl never wants to say the name of the social worker.
Yes.
How did you make up those names? What were they?
In French?
Well, whatever, yeah. You called her something different every time you mentioned her.
Yes, du truc, du quelque chose, because she doesn't want to give her a name, because to her all social workers are the same.
Oh, that's why she keeps calling her these funny names? Yeah, they're really...
Thing and be do, or what's it so, and so
Yeah.
and so. And
fidgeted bit it, or you made up so many funny names. I thought they were great. One of the other things about this book, I want you to read a little bit. Do you want to read in French or do you want to read in English?
As you want. In English?
Yeah.
I choose an extract where the main character imagine her in a film festival, Cannes.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask
Yes.
you.
So, I'm sorry for my English.
We like your English.
Maybe that's what I should do, acting. Making films is class, right? I'll have glory, money, big prices. I can see myself already at the Cannes Festival, striking a pose and smiling at the herd of flashing photographers, dressed like Sissi in that 50s film Sissi Impératrice. In some casual motion, I'd salute the crowd that had come to cheer for me. Because all those people, they'd be there for me, not for Nicole Kidman, Julia Roberts. No, just for me. And Mom, all shocked up, interviewed by the TV networks. Is a long time I dream of my daughter climbing the staircase at Cannes. Is wonderful. Thank you very much. Not the staircase, Mom, the steps.
The steps.
While I'm walking up them, I'd be secretly hoping the ceremony would be broadcast on Moroccan television and that my father, the bird, would just happen to see it. Yes. Robert De Niro would call out my name to present me with the prize for Best Actress. That player would make the most of it by kissing me and sneaky-like slipping his cell number into my cleavage.
I love that.
Everyone's on their feet, me in front of all those people, standing ovation. Thinking ahead, I've written a brilliant speech, and just to feel more comfortable, more natural, more me, right, I've learned it by heart. And finally, I'd like to thank the social service office in Saint-Saint-Denis for sponsoring my trip in Cannes. Thank you.
I love that. And you seem to have such an inside feeling of what's going on. You know the actors, you know the films, and you said you didn't read that much.
Even if you have not read a lot or see a lot of films, this culture influences a lot young people in these
Yes.
areas.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles, 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017.